he didn't really want to let go. In those moments is when I would feel that guilt. And always I would go back to my core truth, and that was I didn't trust him.
We got into an argument about something, and he was about to leave. And I said, if you walk out that door, you will never see me again. You ain't about to walk out on me. That's not how we doing this. Are you okay with being vulnerable?
Yes. Yes, because he too is vulnerable.
Wow.
And I understand what it is that I have in him. He's very special.
What's that? Come on now, tell me what you got.
Saying.
We want to know.
You crazy.
We want to know.
He's just special. I've never met any man like him before.
We're about to go into part 2 where new love finds you. But before we get there, I first just have to say how much I admire your courage. And I want to say to you, but to just anybody who's listening to this, that it's a mature thing. It's a courageous thing to say, I no longer have it in me to give what I think this person deserves. You know, at that point, yes, it's about me, but it's truthfully what I can give to the situation. And although I have not made that decision in a intimate relationship, in the relationship that like literally almost took me out. He was the one that exited, and I'm sitting around trying to figure out where are you, and he's clearly just not there. I've been able to be in this relationship with my husband, but also making it very clear, listen, you going down a road that if you get to that step, you're not, when you turn back, I will not be here. I'm very, very clear about that because we talked about those non-negotiable principles. The other thing, and I didn't say this earlier when I spoke about non-negotiable principles, is the group agreements. You said the things that you all spoke about between each other, those things were not happening. Those are called group agreements in life coaching, and sometimes in group counseling sessions, even in companies where a department comes together or a team comes together, and these are the group agreements. For example, when you and I are on the road and you have to get on stage, our group agreement is I'm going to carry your bags. I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. Now, if you got to get on stage and you carry your own bags, I have not honored the group agreement. And so if I put you in a situation where you have to show up at the place not looking like MC Lyte, but looking like the help, that's a problem. It's not the group agreement. And so the non-negotiable principles are the things that, for me, these are the things that I'm willing to accept. And once you cross this boundary, there will be consequences. And sometimes those consequences are a conversation. Sometimes that consequence is being cut off until we have a conversation. And sometimes that consequence may even be separation or ending the relationship in its entirety. The group agreements are the things that we agree to commit to each other. And I would say for my husband and I, we always remembered and honored our group agreements. The Demetrius Richardson that I get the pleasure of living this life with today is the same one that asked me to be his girlfriend. Yeah, he's like, would you be my girlfriend? Like literally. I was like, this is so cute. This is like second grade. You get a little note, would you be my girlfriend? But he was on the phone and it was a Sunday and he had to go to choir rehearsal or church, or they had something going on that day. I was still living on the north side of Chicago. I was still in college, in my last year, I guess, of college. I had my own apartment. And that morning when we talked, he said, I wanted to know if you would be my girlfriend. I was like, oh my God. I don't know if I said yes right away or not. Probably did. But, we had some agreements. And my agreement was that I was going to take care of him. I wanted to take care of him. I wanted to take care of him in a way that a woman takes care of her man. And he wanted to take care of me. And so whenever we get into a rift, that's what it really comes down to. Are you taking care of me? Am I taking care of you? And, so there are some other things that go along with that. But, you made the decision. You asked for the divorce. And once you asked for the divorce, what was it like after that? I mean, not without getting into too many specifics, but did he say like, "Oh yeah, all right, let's go," or was there a bit of maybe some back and forth? And how did you handle that? Because I think a lot of times when we make a decision and then someone says, "Well, let's do this," sometimes we, acknowledge or honor that, get into that, and then
I think for me to have gotten all the way to that point was I really meant it.
so you didn't go back and forth. It
However,
wasn't like a okay.
however, he didn't really want to let go.
Right.
And in those moments is when I would feel that guilt. Like, have I done all that I can do? Is this something? And always I would go back to my core truth, and that was I didn't trust him. So even if I wanted to try to make it work, it just would have been, a waste of both of our times at that point. And I did feel like he needed to find someone who was going to trust him, because that's what love is based on. So yeah, there was a little, not a back and forth as we should not get divorced, but a back and forth with let's give it some time. So we would kind of push out, okay, this is what we need. I need the divorce now. Oh, okay, hold on a second. Let's think about this. Maybe there's a way. Maybe there, and so yeah, there was a little back and forth, but I knew in my heart that I needed to also find someone that I could trust.
So I want to define back and forth. Once you asked for the divorce, did you go back and engage in the relationship as if it...
No.
Okay, that's what I'm talking about.
No, if anything, there might have been a phone call or two.
Okay.
But so far and few between. As a matter of fact, once saying I wanted the divorce and, not speaking for a while, it was great. And then I would get the call, are you sure?
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but outside of that, no. There was no going back into it.
And I just had to say that because sometimes when someone comes to a decision, and there's no judgment either way, but sometimes someone will say, well, I want a divorce. And then there's conversation or whatever happens. And then you go back into the relationship as if, okay, let's try to work it out.
Oh.
Maybe, everything, whether it's intimacy or whatever. And then you're like, okay, nope, it's not going to work. Let me go back to what I said first. Okay.
No, because at that point I didn't trust.
Yeah.
So I definitely don't want to be engaged intimately with someone I don't trust.
Ooh. Wow. Yeah, I don't know how people do it.
Yeah. That's it.
I don't understand it.
It's like closing yourself off
Yeah.
to let your body be engaged in something where your consciousness isn't. It just, I can't do that.
Wow. Closing yourself off to let your body be engaged in something where your consciousness is not. Wow. That's huge. Big one. So you get through the divorce, and during the time of the divorce, did you date?
No.
Light as a rock.
I did not. And there were even times where I just wanted to go out to dinner with a guy, and my really good friend pastor was like, you don't want anybody seeing you getting the wrong idea. I'm like,
your really good friend, Pastor who?
Pastor Lynn Richardson. You don't want anybody getting the wrong idea. I'm like, I don't care what those people think. Yes, you do. When it comes down to it, you just want a clean start, a clean beginning with nothing tainting anything.
Yeah.
And so literally just waited, I think. However, I had a few numbers.
Suitors.
Yeah,
is that what we call them? Suitors. Yes. Yeah. No, I'm proud of you for that. And again, everybody makes their own decision. But I know what you pray for. You are my sister. I know what you are hoping and dreaming for in almost every area of your life. And although I can't really put my finger on, what that is, but I know what I'm experiencing in this area of my life. And I believe that it requires, you talk about not trusting, it requires that we trust God. And it requires that we give him time. And for you, given all that you had going and you were creating and were building, really a lot of your lifelong dreams came true during that time where you were patiently waiting for your divorce to go through. You launched your first, you are like the female Tyler Perry. You created, wrote, acted, directed in your first show. How many people can say that about their first, their very first one? We have a fabulous team. You built a management firm, a production firm. You've got these great things happening at the Kennedy Center. I mean, the Kennedy Center. You're producing. And what we have coming up next is just going to be awesome, 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 awesome. And the pandemic hits and you weren't phased. You're an entertainer, but you didn't have to worry about income. You didn't have to worry about working. And so I just feel like sometimes in life, when God is really working on your behalf, just stay in it. Just stay in alignment and do the right thing, And so you definitely, set the stage. And in my opinion, a standard for that. So, but then you found new love. Ha! Come on now. Or new love found you.
Yeah.
So unexpectedly.
Right.
It's so nice.
It's easy.
Ooh.
It's easy.
Tell
and
me
I
what
know
that means.
Well, it just means we're not trying to push a square into a round hole.
Wow.
A square peg into, anything but a square peg.
Wow.
It feels easy and understanding and coated in love, and it's just easy. I don't know any other way to say it except I know that I have never experienced the ease that is within this relationship.
Wow. Well, I'm a witness that he loves you because you be getting on my nerves.
Oh boy.
And he think you the cutest little thing ever. I'll be like, that is not funny. You know how only you I don't know how Demetrius deals with me. We're gonna
But I
we're
say
having
the
another
same
conversation.
thing to him when you're
Right.
going off about this,
Craziness.
that, and the third, and he's laughing. I'm like, that ain't funny.
Right.
Right. So
Right. Yeah, but I got some longevity. I got some seniority over you now.
Right.
She getting on my nerves. I'm trying to work, do this, and you just all off and this, that, and the other. He just think it's the cutest thing ever. But the truth is, he loves all of you. Your faults, that's huge. Talk to me about that. He loves your faults.
He does.
Because we all have them.
I mean, yeah, I don't know that he loves them, but he's incredibly...
No, he love them. He think they cute.
No,
I be looking at him like, this is not cute.
he's just accepting of it all, which is
Bingo.
Really, which
Bingo.
is really important. And it's... I remember when we were in Bali, when we all took a trip to Bali.
Oh, he travels with you too.
Yes.
He's been he's been from coast to coast, from sea to sea,
Anyway,
shore to shore. Come on now.
We're in Bali, and I think the night sort of ended off early for everyone, and we were sitting by the pool, and we were just talking, and there was music. I don't remember where it was coming from, but he and I, he stood up and, beckoned me to come, and we just danced under the stars. It was one of the most romantic outings I've had in my entire life.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Very, very, very nice.
Yeah.
And I started off with the faults because we all have them, but he also loves your strengths, just like all of us do. He admires your strengths. He respects your strengths, and he respects your boundaries in your life. Talk to me about that.
Well, he's younger than me, and so I'm not sure with who he's dated in the past being so forward. That's what he tells me, that he really respects my forwardness and the way in which I communicate is very, black and white. It's easy for him to follow.
Come on now.
It's easy for him to understand.
Give me an
which is really
example.
important. I don't like that, so make sure that we don't do this.
Hallelujah.
Not that he did that. It's
Yeah,
just,
but
well, while we're on this subject, let me explain what makes me feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, I like that. Okay, great.
Come on now.
Yeah.
Now, this goes back to something that you said at a separate time in this conversation. It might even been in a prior episode. I don't know what episode we on or whatever. We just talking. But you said something about challenging the man. And you actually have a relative who says he loves when his wife...
Oh, my goodness. It's my cousin's husband.
Yeah.
Yeah, he loves it when my cousin is just a tyrant. She's from Queens, New York. And she just tells him off, and he loves it. He's like, that was what got him interested. Like, yeah, he wants to be cursed at, and he's got an issue. But
he probably knows he needs it.
Right. Yeah.
He probably knows he needs it.
Yeah, he probably tried to go too far. And he likes somebody.
Let me tell you something. And I used to have this. I've been married 28 years, so we had a conversation one day. I think I was getting makeup. And so all the women who had been married for a long time were talking to the women who either weren't married at all or, had been married a short time. And so we got on the subject of, well, how often do you have to curse them out? I was like, oh, it used to be every week. And she was like, yeah. I said, then it got down to maybe once a month, then once a quarter. Now maybe only a couple times a year. Now, I've been married 28 years, and she was married like 26 years. She was like, oh, no, it's still every week. Oh, God, we fell out. I'm like, now what is wrong with your man?
Right. He must
like it.
Well, you know what? I really, where I am now, and specifically in this relationship, is I am ahead of the ball. So I don't feel like I have to go back and clean up something.
Ooh,
because
come on now.
I'm leading the way with what is necessary.
Yes.
As opposed to something happening and
now
then
you have to go back.
You know what? That thing that happened, that didn't make me... Yeah, I don't like that. I think it puts us both in a position of power to win in the relationship.
Yes.
When it's ahead of time.
Yes. So you are stating your non-negotiable principles up front. You're creating group agreements up front, and everybody knows what to expect. And sometimes there may be a very thin line crossing into one of those non-negotiables, or a group agreement may not be met. And sometimes you may be the one to not meet it, but then you can have a discussion about it and talk about it, being ahead of the game. Yeah, I remember getting into an argument. And as a matter of fact, Demetrius and I, our first argument, I was still living on the north side. We weren't engaged yet, because we met and we were engaged 4 months later. And then we were married 1 year after that. So it was a pretty fast, process for us. But we weren't engaged yet. And we got into an argument about something, and he was about to leave. And I said, if you walk out that door, you will never see me again. Because what I was not going to do is be in a relationship with anybody where things get heated and you just leave and I don't know what to expect, or I don't know, because it's just not going down like that. Now, maybe that'll work out for the next chick, but it's not going to work out for me. And the door was open and he was 1 foot out and he stopped. He paused. He didn't turn right back around, but he did not close that door either. And he thought about it, I guess. I don't know. It might have been 60 seconds, which is a long time in a, argument. But it wasn't like he was just like, oh, I'm a robot, let me turn around. He had to think about it.
Yeah.
And he turned around and we continued to fight.
Until a resolution is found.
Look, you ain't about to walk out on me. That's not how we doing this. Have you ever wondered how best to take care of your hair? Have you wondered why your hair responds to one kind of product, but your best friend's hair responds to another? Better yet, what about your siblings' hair? You came from the same parents, but your hair is so different. Well, guess what? MYAVANA is the world's first AI texturized hair care analysis system. Get a strand analysis and get personal recommendations for your hair care. I, on the other hand, have run away a couple of times, but only when it was just like so bad. So I remember one time getting in my car, I was like, I'm running away. And I drove downtown and came back home. I was like, girl, where you going?
Right.
Where are you going?
What are you doing?
First of all, I was living check the money, didn't have no money. So
Right.
where you going?
Right.
Even if I had some, I couldn't see myself checking into a hotel and staying there. Whatever was happening didn't warrant that level. But yeah. So you're ahead of the game. Love has found you.
Yeah.
You are you okay with being vulnerable?
Yes. Yes, because he too is vulnerable.
Wow.
And I understand what it is that I have in
Ooh.
him. He's very special.
What's that? Come on now, tell me
I'm
what you
just
got.
saying. He's
We want to know.
you crazy.
We want to know.
I just feel like he's just special. I've never met any man like him before.
Wow.
And he is deserving of time and focus and me. The real me outside
Yes.
of the rap and do.
Oh, he definitely gets to see the real you because he gets to see the real me.
Oh, Lord.
Because I don't mince words, not even in front of him. Nobody.
Okay.
And so he's still cool. You know, everybody got to go through somebody in your family. And if they brave enough to stick around the craziest person in your life, then they good.
Right.
Yeah, for me it was Auntie Jean. You've never met her. But Demetrius came around, and let me tell you, Auntie Jean and all of them, they got him. And he was still standing strong. Even, Kennedy's boyfriend, he came that first time. Girl, Deidre and Paul, doggone this scared the boy. And
He stood up.
He was there.
He's like, I'm here.
Yeah, he did. And the beautiful thing about it, in neither of those cases did either of these men have to be aggressive in return. But they also didn't cower away.
Right.
And so he has not cowered away. So I guess he can stay.
Okay.
So beautiful. We ended up all spending a huge family Christmas together.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you just mentioned that. When we were talking earlier, we were talking at another time, and you mentioned, not spending that holiday with the family. We did. Well, we didn't have all of the family because,
Right.
we didn't have all of the family. But we had, me and my crew and your mom, your dad, and he was there, and we did the Christmas tree and presents.
Yeah.
And the grab bag or the little exchange. What was that? The white elephant?
Yeah.
I had to go off.
Yeah.
Hallelujah. It ain't a party. It ain't a real family event. Let somebody go off. I'll vote for me.
Well, yeah,
it's okay.
You went off about that, and I went off about the Christmas lights.
Oh, and then I had to go back off on you about the Christmas lights.
Right.
What was happening in that
Well,
moment? Like
after girl, eggnog, cut it out.
you were drunk.
Yeah, I was nice.
We all wanted colorful lights on the Christmas tree.
Right, and I wanted white lights.
If we no,
I wanted a classy white light Christmas.
But it had been white all day. So now it's nighttime. We want to see some color up in here. Anyway.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Funny moments. Great, great, great memories. And he was there for it all.
Yeah. And so now we can at some point have a new book.
Okay. What's the new book?
Well, how to get them.
We can't tell them yet. But
Okay, we'll work on
about
it.
in it. What we're going to talk about in it?
Just I think women and men need to know out there that there is love out there.
Yeah.
That you have to be patient and don't find yourself accepting what is unacceptable to you just because you want to pass the time.
Yeah.
Because you passing the time might make somebody pass you by.
Ooh.
And you just want to be ready.
Wow.
You want to be ready, and it's not to say you're in waiting, but you're what's that thing? You're marinating,
Yeah.
and when it's time, that person will be there, and it might be somebody that you already know, or it might be a complete stranger. But I think if you believe in it and let yourself just be in the circumstances,
Just be.
yeah, just be.
Yeah. There's a saying, or I hear often, people say, well, I don't trust people. Or, and this is in relationships and also in business. People who are trying to grow their businesses and they can't because they don't trust anybody.
Right.
People who are living this life and, well, I'll never get married again. I mean, again, if that's your position, I'm not judging. But wow, it's a pretty permanent thing to say, I'll never? What does God have any room in that? Does he get to bless you with some? Ephesians says, I will bless you exceedingly and abundantly, more than you can ever ask or imagine, according to his power at work in you.
Right.
It's the according to part. And I think we have to remember the according to is up to us. So it's not that his power can't work. We have to be open to receive it.
Right.
And if I say never, I just block the power. It has to, be able to get in.
To flow.
It has to flow. So we just said that, but would you ever get married again?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm not opposed to it. It just has to be, the right time. And, when you have that feeling that you want to be joined with, another being to the degree that you don't ever want to be apart, that pretty much sounds like marriage to me. So,
Yeah.
I would want to get married.
Wow. Would you ever get divorced again?
I'll never say never.
Right.
It wouldn't be my intention,
Of course.
to, but all sorts of things can happen that would bring a divorce into play. I would hope that it wouldn't, but I'm not opposed to that either.
I've had the responsibility of raising 3 daughters. And the interesting thing is sometimes my girlfriends or, my female colleagues, we may be sitting around talking, laughing, and may have had a few cocktails or whatever. And, Demetrius will walk past and we might be in the middle of a male bashing moment. Man, ain't this? And da 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 da. And, something happened to somebody and, girl, you better do this. And when he comes in the room, we don't change our tone.
Right.
And there have been a few times when folks have said, your husband is there. I was like, oh, he good. Because he knows we're not talking about him.
Right.
1. 2, we're raising 3 daughters. And he wants me to teach them what they need to know to be protected from guys who are not like him. Period. So he trusts that what's happening or what's being said is what's needed to be said. And one thing I've said to my daughters about our relationship, because there are cases where people stay together for the kids and so on and so forth. I said, listen, I love your father as long as he loves me. So in having real conversations with them about who they're going to choose in a mate, you got the role model right here. The blueprint is here. How he treats me, how he treats his family, how he stands by me, us, how he stands by you. The day he stops doing that, I'm out of here. Right. It doesn't matter if it's year 2,762 in 2 hours. On hour 3, if he starts to behave something unlike what this is, I'm out of here.
Right.
I'm not. Now, would I sit down and have a conversation and say, hey, what's going on? Yes. But those non-negotiable principles and those group agreements, group agreements typically, are mutual expressions of truth. So, but also group agreements have to be reasonable. And, there were times in our marriage where I'm not home. So I can't cook every day. I used to cook all the time. Monday through Friday, Saturday breakfast, Sunday dinner, all of those things. But as my career picked up, with me moving around the world, basically, those things couldn't happen. So our group agreements were, modified to accommodate what we both wanted in our life as it relates to my career that was going to benefit us all. So, so good stuff. What would you say in closing, or
in closing,
not really in closing, because we'll be revisiting this conversation
time, right?
as you evolve in your new love.
Yeah. I would just say to, as I said in the last little segment before we started this last part here, is that everyone should believe that there is time. There is no, you're too old or it's too late for true love. It can't exist, but you have to be open to it. So I would just say and I hear from so many women, especially here on the West Coast, that it's so hard to find a guy, and that dating sucks, and I'm like, well, go to where the action is, wherever you feel like that person may be for you. It's quite possible that you'll meet them there, or just travel, or go to places that you normally don't go. Eat at a different restaurant. Go to a different lounge, hear some live music. Put yourself in a space where you would want to be with someone that you love.
Wow. That's huge. Put yourself in a space that you would want to be with someone that you love. We got to remember that. We got to tweet. We got to text that to about 25 of our friends.
Okay.
Put yourself in a space that you would want to be with someone that you love. I would say I've watched you. You've done that. You've shown up. Wow. God bless you, my sister.
Thank you.
And congratulations. And, this thing about friendship and sisterhood, you truly want to be in a position, I know for me and the tribe that we have around us, I want for each and every one of you what I have for myself. I want peace and harmony and love and wealth and good health and joy and great memories, and us to, we are quick to pick up, and take a trip out of the country or to Vegas, or, doing all those things. And I'm so happy to see this part of your life coming together for you. Okay, so it's time for this segment brought to you by Thrive Tax, and it's called Spontaneous Combustion.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's not as bad as it sounds.
Okay.
Here's how it works. Okay. I'm going to say a word, and then you have to speak about that word for 1 minute. Whatever comes to mind, don't think, just, it could be sentences, individual words, phrases, comments, or whatever. Okay, are you ready?
I think.
Okay, MC Lyte, the voice, is ready. Today's word is love.
Well, love makes me smile. Love makes me vulnerable and open, and love is all we need, really. If everyone thought with love first, there'd be no war, there'd be no hunger, there'd be no homelessness. All of the ills that our world is combating is all for the lack of love or no love. And where there isn't love, there's fear. And if we could eradicate fear out of our lives, we'd be much happier. We'd be within God's touch and within the heavenly realm of where God resides, because God is love and love is God. That's all I got.
Okay. Thanks, Lyte.
Thank you, Lynn.
Okay, so here's my 2 cents. 1, before you go into a relationship, or if you've been in one that didn't work out, first I want you to do this. Discover your non-negotiable principles. Write down the things that you must have, and write down the things that you absolutely cannot have. And be clear about those things. Number 2, Be truthful with yourself. Be honest. Are you difficult to get along with? Are you operating in fear? Are you bringing your best self to the relationship? Or are you bringing your fear? Pray about those things and work on them. Number 3, be open to love. More importantly, be open to God, because God is love. And once you cut yourself off from love, my opinion is you've cut yourself off from God. That's my 2 cents. Thank you for stopping by. Please like, share, and subscribe.